Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer and listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Let me welcome you to yet another brand new episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. It's always a thrill, a pleasure, a source of excitement really to be able to share this life-changing business information. We do our best to bring individuals who have impacted the community, who have impacted the business life of Botswana generally, and obviously in the region and internationally. And we have one such individual today, Mr. Ketshabile. But before I ask him to formally introduce himself, can I ask you the usual favor? Please, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I keep hammering on this point because I've noticed that I have more people watching us who haven't subscribed than those who have subscribed. So it only takes a split second for you to hit that button. Please hit it. We're aiming to get to 100,000 and beyond, and we want to reach as many people throughout the region and so on to promote entrepreneurship and to share with them all the exciting reasons that I've mentioned for having this platform. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mogobe. How are you? And congratulations on reaching the 10,000 subscribers.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. 100,000 beacons, eh?
Yes. No, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's
right.
coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, a good place to start would be just a short introduction in which you share a little bit of your academic background and condense it a little bit.
Okay. No, my name, as you said, it's Brian Ketshabile. Basically, I'm just a young Motswana who grew up like in a normal family setting of Botswana. Well, I went to most of my school was in Lobatse, a government school, all the way until to University of Botswana, where I acquired my
Government guys, eh?
Yeah.
We're doing it. I'm also a government guy.
Yes, no, from primary up to senior school, it was government. Then I went to University of Botswana, where I spent my 5 years, but I was supposed to spend 4 years. Because of these challenges, the setbacks, the retakes, I had to spend 1 more year there. I did my Bachelor of Business Administration, specializing in marketing. Yeah, from there, now I did short courses. I did a short course on social marketing through the University of South Florida, based in the United States. And then others are just trainings. Yes.
Okay. Can I hazard a guess why you took longer than everybody? Perhaps maybe you're distracted by entrepreneurship?
No. Ideally, when you're at university, of course, coming from Lobatse, you are new in Gaborone. The lights are too bright in Gaborone, so you get confused. You now start focusing on other things than business, rather than what you actually went to school for. I think that's the major reason why I had to spend 12 more months than anticipated. Okay. And I'm deliberately saying so because during our conversation, obviously, I'll expand on it. It's very important. You experience these pitfalls, but you need to pick yourself up. So I think it was important for me to set this foundation so that going forward.
What was it that distracted you? Were you a party dude?
I would say more or less, more or less something like that, but not too extreme. Of course, because I managed to recover. I think it was more of thinking you are too clever or you are too intelligent, and some of the things you take lightly. And then I was one of those guys who would say, okay, no, I'm intelligent. If if a test comes, I can just spend 2 days studying it, and then from there I know I'll ace it, but at some point this thing catches up with you. You need to keep your focus all the time. So I think I lost a bit of focus somewhere along the way.
Okay. Well, this show is mainly about business and entrepreneurship. How did you drift towards that?
Yes. And then again, it's important to mention that from university I went into corporate. I was one of the lucky guys who went to who got a job immediately when they finished school. I was already working even before I completed school. Then got a position.
I said it, so I was right. You're distracted by business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Because
I think that's the main reason. Am I right?
No, you are. Because I was working part-time while I was at university. Obviously, getting money while you are a student also has its own implications. And then from there, after graduating on the 5th year, I got employed by a company called PSI. They were marketing Lovers Plus condoms. At some point, I was known as the condom guy because I was the one I was part of the team which was pushing the marketing of those Lovers Plus condoms. Yeah. From there, I got fortunate again and hired in the banking sector. I spent about 10 years in the banking sector, different financial institutions. I started with Botswana Savings Bank. From Botswana Savings Bank, I went to National Development Bank. And that's where now I left to focus on entrepreneurship 24/7.
I'm intrigued by the part where you say you're known as a condom guy. What does it take to sell a condom? What special tricks did you use?
For us, obviously, back then, talking about the usage of condoms, it was not as comfortable as now. It was an uncomfortable conversation to have. But for us, obviously, being employed to push the brand, we are quite innovative in terms of incorporating, doing a research. We had a research unit where now they gave us feedback of what the market wants to hear. And one of the initiatives that we did when I joined was there was Miss Lovers Plus, which was quite popular at that time. And also, again, the branding of the condoms themselves. We made them quite vibrant. And then we engaged in terms of the use of color and branding, so that people can easily associate with a product. Yeah, so I think when it started, it was just a cream white box with a lady on the outside, but then we incorporated a very nice purplish color, which was eye-catching. And for many youth, it was more relatable, and it was more of they could relate to the product. And then also with the pageant as well. Now, obviously, people who are interested in this kind of lifestyle, they can easily relate with the brand.
I don't know whether you know a comedian called Lust. He had a viral video where he was saying that across the world, really, everybody has difficulty buying a condom directly, saying it. And this thing went viral where he was showing how a Nigerian does it, a South African does it, or a Motswana does it. Have you seen that?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
But I follow the guy.
But there's a sense in which there's some discomfort.
And he's very right. I'm saying this time around, I think it's a lot better than back then. Because they even just buying it was a mission. You couldn't find it anywhere. You found it at the hospitals. You found it maybe at the service stations, but in terms of having the confidence over the counter to say I want this condom, it was very difficult. But these days it's more because talking about sex is an open topic that especially the youth, they can talk about it on social media. So I think the stigma it's not as much as back then. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about your other escapades, as it were, before you went in to start your own business.
All right. I was in corporate, like I said, for close to over 10 years. And then there was a point when I was at Botswana Savings Bank. I think it was around 2011. That's when government announced that it will be outsourcing cleaning services and security. Being in the offices, obviously, I thought there's an opportunity, obviously, for people who want to start businesses. And then again, I included myself in there to say, maybe I'm not going to be to be in corporate for the rest of my life. So why not register a company? Maybe just to focus on the cleaning services, because I could appreciate our market that obviously with Botswana government is the largest buyer locally. So I thought there's a huge opportunity that I can jump on. But obviously my focus was I was enjoying my corporate life. I mean, I ascended to a leadership position at a very young age. I enjoyed everything I touched into gold in terms of marketing. So at that point, it was just an issue of just registering a company and knowing that there is this opportunity.
What was your position at the Botswana Savings Bank?
I left Botswana Savings Bank as an assistant manager, marketing and communications. But when I joined, I was a marketing officer, and I think in less than 2 years, I ascended to that position.
And what was the trick you applied, so to speak, to rapidly climb the corporate ladder?
I think with every employer is looking for somebody who's willing to work really, to put in the work. Sometimes I always say, put in the work and recognition will come. You don't need to start convincing somebody to say, no, I can do the job. I can just do the job and do it as loudly as possible so that everybody can see it. In that way, people or your principals will definitely see that, no, we have somebody who is capable here, who can deliver. So it's about delivery. Make sure that whatever task that you are given, you execute it to the best of your ability. Where you don't know, you also need to ask. So you are constantly in communication with your leadership to know and to understand the vision of where they want things to go, and make sure that you execute it as per the vision.
All right. Let's talk about the business overview when you started. Actually, you mentioned that for some time you were just registering the company without a focused mindset to start. Tell us about that transition when you now said it's time to start.
Yes. Okay. Like I said, at the back of my mind, I knew there is a huge opportunity that the government has just put on the table. Then I said, okay, maybe because I'm currently employed, let me start small and maybe start with the households first in terms of cleaning, so that I gain traction in the market. Now, the challenge that I faced was, because I was employed full-time, I would get customers calling me during working hours to say, no, I need my couch cleaned. When can you come? So initially, it was, I pushed them towards the weekend to say, no, we are fully booked during the week. We can only do it on the weekend. But then I thought, hey, this thing is catching up with me. I can't keep up with this because the calls were coming in. So then I thought, let me put it on ice a little bit, and then I'll continue when now I'm flexible. But obviously, being an assistant manager, I was the guy behind the head of department manager. So in terms of engagement, I was fully engaged, and the traveling was a lot. So I thought, this thing will never start. So decisions must be made. Lucky enough, I was blessed with a partner who also was willing to try this thing out.
A family member?
Yes.
Like a spouse?
Yes, spouse. Then we decided to say, no, I think because now I'm full-time, then maybe you should focus, because she is a journalist as well. So I thought your schedule is much more flexible, and maybe looking at our incomes, maybe let's sacrifice yours and then we'll survive on mine. That's when now we started doing this full-time.
I detect a pattern here. When you're at UB, You had your side activities, working, and now also when you're employed, you have your side gig, or you have what do they call it? Side hustle. So you're a side hustle type of guy.
I believe in
And
constantly.
I mean that positive.
Yes, I mean I believe in constantly engaging myself and making sure pushing myself all the time. Yeah. So yeah, if I feel I have too much idle time, I need to find something to engage in, so that I don't have. I believe an idle mind is quite dangerous sometimes.
Devil's workshop.
Yes, so you start thinking of things that are not really productive. So I think it's important that you make sure you are constantly engaged in a more productive way.
Now, tell us about the business model.
Braintec.
Yes.
All right. Braintec, when it started purely as a cleaning services business. As I said, we started with households, small like that, from the garage of our house, and then we grew into corporate. As and when we started gaining traction in the market, we now went into corporate. We got one source of jobs, where companies like yours will call us to say, no, we have carpets or we have tile that needs to be stripped. Can you come in and clean for us? We give them a quote. That's when we started getting opportunities. Primarily, it was more on the private sector before we went into government. Because with government, procurement is different, where you need to tender, and the tender must be advertised. So we started with private companies.
Is this a capital intensive or even labor intensive business when you start?
It's labor intensive. It's labor intensive, and it also has a lot of challenges in terms of retaining that particular labor. Because in our experiences, it's quite difficult to retain employees in that sector. I'm not sure if it's because you work using hands, so therefore they feel maybe being employed is not the only way they can do it themselves. So I'm still wondering.
So how's the staff turnover like?
Initially, I think when you start small, the staff turnover is very high. It's very high. You'll get employees working throughout the month, and then come month end, after you pay salaries, people disappear. They don't even give notice. They just disappear. You call. After 4 days, probably when the salary is finished, they come back and tell you something. Hey, I forgot my phone in a taxi, so I couldn't return your calls. And obviously, challenges like this pushes you to exercise a lot of patience, because you see that this is just by the side of the truth. It's not really is not being truthful to me, but you just exercise patience.
I read that big companies like McDonald's expect a huge staff turnover, and I think I read somewhere that even up to 3 times a year they replace their entire staff. But they work with it; they factor it in. So in what way did you factor in this reality?
Yes, and for us, remember, we just jumped in the business. We didn't even know that we'll face those challenges. And then when those challenges came, now you start learning, because now the challenges are pushing you outside of your comfort zone. What you are used to in the corporate way, people come when it's payday, it's just a normal day like any other. They come back to work on Monday. This time around, we had to think. To say, okay, in this scenario where your client is expecting you to come in and clean at 8 and nobody is there, what do you do? Then we thought, no, but we need to have a backup plan. A backup plan in terms of having people on standby or cleaners that are on standby, so that I know that if this challenge happens, you can pull a resource that you have in your database to go and attend to your client. Because again, in this business of cleaning services, customer service is very key. When you tell your customer that you'll be there at 8, you must be there at 8. No stories.
And you mentioned on the labor side. What about on the capital side? Is it capital intensive, and how did you manage to maneuver there?
Yes. Yes, it is capital intensive, especially in terms of the use of cleaning products. What we have realized is, obviously we are humans. These cleaning products have the particular dosages. In terms of your floor stripper, it has how you need to apply it and the dosages. Obviously, sometimes you would understand that when employees maybe they're exhausted or maybe going through emotional challenges in terms of dosages, sometimes they don't adhere to those dosages. It's either they underdose or overdose. Overdose, that means it's a more cost than what you are supposed to incur on that particular job. So for us as a business, we said, no, but we need to make sure that we have controls in terms of how we use these chemicals. That's why we introduced technology into our business, especially for our corporate clients, where we use automatic dosing pumps to make sure that when they dose, you don't just dose manually, you dose using that pump. It gauges for you to make sure, okay, for a 25-liter bucket, you need so much chemical. It puts in that chemical already combined with water so that you can use the right quantities. It also helps in terms of controlling costs and also able to focus your costs on a month-to-month basis.
Okay, you mentioned that particular piece of machinery as a differentiator. I think that's very interesting. But my question to you is, what sets you above? What sets you apart from the rest of the market? Because I would imagine that cleaning is a highly competitive field.
Absolutely. And we entered the sector knowing that, I'll give an example. When you go for a site visit for cleaning, you will get maybe over 100 companies coming in. So we had to differentiate ourselves, of course. Braintec is an ISO certified company. We are ISO 9001 2015 certified quality management systems. That means our cleaning services, we are strictly based on quality. And quality, we are not only speaking quality, we are also doing quality, and also have an organization. By getting this certificate, we make sure that we are accountable to quality insurance. Quality assurance, in a sense that should we not follow the processes that we say we follow to produce quality, then we can be disqualified or the certificate can be revoked. So what is important for us to get the certification was to make sure that as we speak quality, our clients we can also produce something to say, this is why we are saying we produce quality. We are also accountable by international standards to ensure that we follow all the quality processes. So that for us gives a bit of assurance to our customers to say, no, these people it's not just a selling gimmick. It's actually something that they live by.
Incidentally, what does it take to become ISO certified?
It takes quite a lot because from starting from the garage, now growing up, growing as a business to where we are now, you have to put in a lot of processes and procedures in terms of how you manage your resources, how you manage your staff, how you manage your office, and then how you procure the products that you use. You don't just buy any other product. There is a process that you follow to ensure that whatever product that you buy is of quality. Because what ISO is emphasizing is you have to think of your customer in mind, to say whatever that I do, my customer must benefit in terms of the quality standards. Yes.
Okay. Incidentally, what is still on the issue of quality and differentiation? One of the things you do is clinical laundry. Is that unique to you, and what does it entail?
All right. Clinical laundry basically is we do laundry for the healthcare sector. This is a highly regulated industry, in a sense that whatever mistake that you do can affect a lot of people. Laundry, we wash linen from the hospitals. The hospitals, like the bed sheets from theater rooms. So those come with a lot of challenges in terms of handling. There is a procedure. You don't just pick up the laundry, throw it there. There is a procedure that you follow to avoid cross-infection. Because you'll be handling linen that is highly infected. People go into hospitals with many health challenges. So obviously by handling that, if you are negligent, you are likely to transfer that either to yourself as the handler or to the next person. Now we have a health crisis in the country because it was mishandled. So clinical laundry is highly regulated. There is in that space there are standards by COSASA. COSASA is a regulator, I think, overseeing the southern South African southern part of the continent.
So what special equipment do you need to handle clinical laundry?
First, the chemicals must be specialized. You don't just use your common laundry soap that you are used. You need to also use destainers that remove stains, because stains from the hospitals are coming from the medicines that are used there. They are coming from maybe body fluids, obviously being in contact with patients, and also because linen from the hospitals, majority of it or 90% of it is white. So you need to maintain it in that manner. Again, because it's white, you cannot wash it and leave stains on that linen, because automatically when you see stains, you see infection. So you need to make sure that the chemicals that you use are highly specialized. And by the way, those chemicals we also do sell through our strategic partnerships.
Oh,
yes. So that's number one. The chemicals that are used. Number two, you need to use high-speed laundry chemicals. You don't get laundry machines.
Oh, specialized machines.
Yes, you don't use our laundry machine, washing machines at home.
The domestic ones.
Yes, because first you need to wash hospital linen at very high heat. We are talking 90 degrees, 80 degrees. Yes. And then again, because of the workload, the machines are quite big. We are talking 50 kgs upwards. And then again, most of the time, because the hospitals, majority of them are 24 hours, you need to make sure those machines are constantly working. It's a non-stop processing of linen through.
One of the things I picked up is that you have things called dissolved bags, which are sort of improved products. What are dissolved bags and how do they work?
Yes, we do sell those as well. Dissolver bags are bags that we have your normal laundry bag where you carry your linen in it, going to the laundry and maybe dispatching it to the wards. So dissolver bags are bags that put in linen, but those are not going to return. When you are coming with linen, especially for highly infectious linen, say for example, I'll give an example. During COVID, you can't just handle linen from a COVID patient. You put it in there and make sure that when you get to the machine, you just throw it in there, then you wash it with the bag. During the wash process, that bag will dissolve and it will come out as liquid at the end.
Wow.
So it minimizes laundry, infectious linen laundry handling. So you just from the what, it's in the bag. From there, you just throw it in the machine, it dissolves. Then from there, the linen is processed, goes into the trolley.
All right. You mentioned COVID, and that's always an elephant in the room, as it were, because it has affected everybody. Some it's affected positively, some negatively, some in both ways. Tell us about your interaction with COVID and how it affected you.
I would say for us, It's both ways. It has affected us negatively in a sense that obviously the business slowed down, and in terms of cash flow, now we started struggling because many businesses were closed. We are left with only critical organizations, which was the hospitals. So the challenge was when COVID came, no one was ready really. We were not ready, but obviously as a quality-focused business, then came an issue of sanitizers. When sanitizers came, COVID came, we saw a lot of mushrooming of cleaning businesses. I'll say mushrooming because it was unexpected. It was all over the place. There were a lot of cleaning companies. But for us, there was an issue of selling sanitizers and also disinfection. Then I said to my team, okay, sanitizers we can import through our partner, which I'll explain. And then disinfection, it was a new thing to us. So we thought, as a quality-focused business, let's wait and see and find out the proper process of disinfection, right? We don't just jump in and say we are disinfecting. And then again, we realized that the time we took developing the process was the time when agile businesses were moving in, and now there was disinfection all over. Everybody was doing disinfection. And then when we joined, the market was now too saturated. Everybody was disinfecting. Everybody had a knapsack spray in their garage or in the boot of their car. So I think we said no,
those
but
thermometers were
yeah, yes. So we thought no. I mean, for us, it's more of an issue of reputation to say don't rush things. But because always when you do work, it's quality before anything. We had to jump in when we knew what we were doing. But at this stage, I can say we are confident in knowing sure that whatever service that we provided it's the best quality that a customer will need.
So did it significantly affect your bottom line to the fact that it set you back? Or second part of the question is, have you recovered?
It didn't set us back to a point where we couldn't operate, but obviously in terms of the margins, it did set us back. Because, like I'm saying, we have corporates that we are servicing, which were closed. That means now we are not getting paid on that end. Number two, in terms of constant, because we have a retail side of the business where we are selling hygiene products that are used in restaurants, because obviously restaurants is a highly regulated environment as well.
Tell me about it.
Yes.
I have restaurants. So
yes.
can relate.
And I'm going there. So it's a highly regulated industry where obviously there is a way that you handle food in the kitchen to avoid issues of food poisoning. So our chemicals are highly specialized and regulated and certified to make sure that when the kitchen is cleaned properly, and the food that is coming out of that cleaning, it's of the best standards. So we do sell those products. Now, that side of the business suffered because majority or all restaurants were closed. You can't expect them to keep on procuring products that they are not using. And then now the risk is, because they were closed for so long, months, I could actually, before our business, we could actually feel for our customers to see, but how are they surviving? Even those that were closed before, or they were pending invoices before the closure. In terms of approaching to say, hey, I have a pending invoice with you, you are a bit cautious in terms of understanding. We have a long relationship with these people, and now they are struggling. Let's just be cautious, and as we approach, as they recover, they'll just pay with much more flexibility.
Now, the other aspect that I need to touch on quickly is staff trainings, because you seem to be prioritizing that that element in your business. Can you share a bit more on that?
Yes, staff training for all businesses or organization is very important. It's important in this sense. You as a business, you have a vision to say we want to go here. We want to move from here to here. And you need to make sure you empower your team to make sure that they have the right skills, to make sure that they can confidently embark on that journey to reach the vision. So it's important to upskill the team to make sure that every individual in the individual units, they know what to do so that collectively we can achieve that vision. So we believe in training, where we train our staff in terms of customer service, making sure that they provide the best service for our customers, both internally and externally. We make
Does that mean you bring external trainers?
Yes, we do bring in consultants who train our customers. Our recent training
your
was
customers or your
sorry, our employees, to make sure that we upskill them and make sure that when we draw objectives and when we draw targets, they are fully equipped to make sure that you don't just put targets on the table and expect people to perform miracles, but we do empower them with the right tools and skill to make sure they can confidently pursue those targets.
Okay. Now, in terms of numbers, what's the situation with the business? Many employees, turnover, those sort of things, and are you willing to share some of that?
Yes, I think for us, based in the head office, we are about a team of seven in admin, HR, we have operations, and then we also have management. And then in different sites, because we are providing laundry for the referral hospitals, both of them. So we have.
Congratulations! That's a good gig.
Thank you very much. So we have quite a number of employees on different sites. We are looking at about a total of 80 staff members who are on contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that some of the work you do is for government. Can you share a little bit more on that and make a little bit of a contradistinction between working for government and working for private? What are the two considerations, if you can compare and contrast?
Okay, I think the major difference would be obviously the processes. With government, obviously, because we are looking at Ghana government is made up of Batswana or citizens. So government always wants to be accountable to making sure that the funds are used correctly. So obviously the process and decision making, it has to follow a longer process than with private sector, where private sector maybe will have just two people being accountable for that process. And
decisions are much quicker in the
yes, they are much quicker than with government. It has to be to follow the right channel until the decision is made. So that's the major difference, really.
Okay, what about the tendering process? Some people say it gives them grief.
Yes, it's a difficult one, but when you get the hang of it, basically when tender, you just need to know what the tender requires. Just look at the ITT. What does it want?
What is
and
ITT?
Invitation to tender. Sorry.
No, for the benefit of those who may not know.
That's very important. You have to make sure that you satisfy every aspect of that invitation to tender, to make sure that now that's the technical part of preparing the tender. And then there is the second part, which is the financial proposal. Now, financial proposal.
Talking about the two envelope system.
Yes, two envelope system.
Maybe
now
you should explain to the viewer what that means.
Okay, with tendering, there are two components to it. In an invitation to tender, there is the technical part, which is how you are going to carry out the works, what resources are needed, what equipment is needed, and all of that. And then obviously the policies and procedures that you have in place to make sure that that work is done as per expectation. And then you have the second part now, in terms of now you've articulated all this information. Now you need to break it down into numbers to say, for us to execute this work, we'll need this much. And this is where now the challenge begins to say, obviously you are not the only one. You need to be
the government says they want the lowest.
So you have to be really competitive, and again be cautious in a sense that while looking at competition, you also don't underprice yourself to say, I want this job, and end up having a job that is not making anything. So I always tell my team to say, it's important that we make sure, because we are in business of making profits, make sure that we price right. If we get it, we'll get it. If we don't, let's be happy that at least we try it. But let's avoid it.
On this issue of tenders, there are consultants who specialize in it. So my question to you is it better to do it internally, or it's better to look at a consultant who can help you structure the tender with you?
To be honest with you, that one we haven't used consultants. We haven't used consultants before, so I wouldn't really know how they work. But for us, we do everything internally. When we get a tender, we sit down as a team to say, you as the occupational health professional, this is your aspect, address it. The technical side in terms of equipment, somebody is responsible for that. Then we populate the whole tender for submission.
I've heard business people saying that they won't touch tenders or they won't deal with government because of the big C, which is corruption. And that they would rather just deal with the private sector. What is your attitude, and is this perception about corruption real or is imagined?
I would say obviously at some quarters there are, but I always emphasize to my team to say, let's try our best, because if we think too much about this big C, now it's going to distract us in terms of putting in our bid to say, this already has the owner of this tender, therefore let's not do it, because ultimately it will be perception, because you will never know really if that is true or not. So the best thing is put in your proposal. If you win, you win. If you don't, you won't. But if you continue focusing on there is somebody prescribed for this, you lose out on many opportunities. So
you're working against yourself from the beginning.
Exactly. So just put it in. Maybe that day is your luck. Whoever, if you are saying there is a prescribed company for this tender, maybe that time they will make a mistake somehow. God will be on your side and you will get it.
Is this to say you have not yourself encountered the big C?
We haven't. But we've encountered a lot of challenges in terms of contract management. Where now you'll be put under unnecessary scrutiny, and I'm saying this is an assumption, because you will never go back to that person and say, why are you acting this way? You will just think and ask people, what is going on here? Then you will see you are always being pressed to do things, and then you'll wonder, is this happening only to me or other service providers?
Things that are not provided for in the ITT.
Yes, they'll just put you under unnecessary pressure, and obviously with the process, it's going to take time. You just try and follow the process. It takes time. I don't know if now they know. Obviously, these take time. They just frustrate you on site. To make sure that either you are frustrated and say, no, I'm leaving this thing and focusing on something else, or maybe they are hoping you just quit along the way. I don't know.
Which leads me to the next item that I normally want my guests to touch on. You know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, we're told about the big reset. And everywhere you turn, even in government circles, we're told that the reset agenda is underway. Have you experienced the reset agenda, and what is it about in terms of how it impacted you?
Okay, really what we've realized is government is really trying in terms of opening up opportunities. And I always tell my colleagues or people that we engage with to say, really, in terms of, say, I will give an example with maybe the ban of importation of vegetables. Obviously, it's going to make us uncomfortable as consumers, because maybe the producers we are not ready as yet. But in the long run, this thing will benefit us in terms of seeing that there is this opportunity that can actually be rewarding. So I'm seeing a government which is deliberate in terms of availing opportunities to Botswana. Unapologetically deliberate in opening up many sectors to Botswana. I know right now I was listening to one interview by Honorable the Minister of Minerals, where he was being interviewed, I think it was in the United States, about the opportunities that are coming for Botswana. Really, government is pushing Botswana in terms of participation in the diamond industry value chain. You know, so these I'm seeing as opportunities that are coming that never really existed before. So that's why I'm saying government is really deliberate about opening opportunities. It's about us now as Botswana to make sure that we go into these opportunities, because if you don't do that, opportunities will be there. But if you don't go and claim those opportunities, it will be like government is not doing anything.
Yeah, when you say that, you remind me of two developments. I've been on vacation, and two significant developments have taken place. The first was government preparedness to renegotiate strongly with Botswana, and this was published, and the government was even saying if the government cannot agree, Botswana cannot agree, they are prepared to walk.
Yeah.
That has never happened in the history of the country. I thought that was significant. And the second significant thing was the signing of Africa Continental Free Trade, the actual ratification of that agreement. I thought that was very, very significant, and I thought to myself, ooh, this is something I'm going to talk about on my show, because this was a big deal. Any comments there?
Yes, you know, I'm excited generally for Botswana, because with obviously after COVID, and then you have so many opportunities being availed by your own government to its people. It's really exciting. Like I'm saying, for us sitting here, seeing those opportunities and not acting on them, we'll be doing ourselves a disservice. But now we need to listen very carefully in terms of what government is busy doing, and make sure that we move, we are agile in terms of attending to those opportunities. I mean, the recent signing,
ratification.
Yes.
We had signed, now we are ratifying.
Yes, we are rectifying. I mean, there's a big market which is opening up a lot of doors, not only locally, obviously, for local producers to go international, you know. So this is very important for us to make sure that we stand up, we are agile.
I think people, youngsters young businessmen should look at the AFTA agreement again and look at those protocols. The secret is in those protocols, those service protocols at the back, to see how you can take advantage of them.
Exactly.
And then to start traveling to find out which markets are ready. Some markets they signed a year and a half ago, they're already ready to welcome Botswana businessmen in. So this thing to me is a major shift that most people are not aware of.
Yes, exactly. So we really need to be agile in making sure we take advantage of those opportunities.
All right, I want to take you back to the issue of certification Because we talked about the ISO,
Yes.
but now, from what I understand, you've gone further, and the specialized organizations. There's BOBS, and there's Intertech and SABS.
Yes.
Take us through each one of them in understanding how it helps a business.
All right. BOBS basically is it's a regulator, local regulator of processes and procedures, be it in production or just it's an overseeing body for management and making sure that the goods that are provided are of a certain quality or standard.
And services.
Yes. So SABS is more South African based, and the Intertech it's international. Yes. So now our ISO, we acquired our ISO from a company called Lloyd's Register. Lloyd's Register is a company that is also recognized by BOBS and also recognized by SABS. It's international. Yes. So that's the body that certified us. So with BOBS, it's an issue of after the certification, you write an application to BOBS to say, now we are certified by this organization. Can you please review our certification? Obviously, with Lloyd's Register, should check if this is genuine, so that they can issue a recognition certificate to say yes, indeed, your certification is valid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you take the same certificate and take it to SABS, and they sort of rubber stamp it, and then to Intertech.
Intertech, yes. We do the same.
Okay.
Yes. And then Intertech, if I may emphasize, Intertech it's an organization that it checks the quality of the chemicals being produced. Like I said, for us, we sell only quality, and we supply highly regulated industries, like food services, like hospitality, like healthcare. So the chemicals must be certified to ensure that they will do the necessary work that they are supposed to do.
All right.
Which is that the backdrop is basically quality work.
All right. I want us to move on to the issue of technology. We all talk about 4IR. Now there's excitement about ChatGPT. Technology is everywhere. I know that you've incorporated it in your business. Use of dosing pumps, for instance, that's highly specialized, both for kitchen and laundry. Tell us, or rather explain to the viewer your attitude towards technology and the manner in which you've incorporated it.
All right. Technology is very critical. That is why we are here today. We are on Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom. It's important. Back in the day, we could be maybe at the TV studio, but now we are in Mogobe Plaza. Where now technology has brought a lot of opportunities to make sure that we broadcast content on a regular basis. But in terms of our industry, it's important that, like I said, we think of our customers first. To say, as Braintec, you are selling these products. These products are a cost to the business of my customer. So how can I help my customer to make sure that they contain costs and don't feel that your products are a major cost in the business? Though they are critical in terms of running the business, but how can you make sure that you protect your customer to make sure that the costs are controlled? Because business, the basis is control your costs. So these dosing pumps, what they do is, when we install the dosing pump in your kitchen, you have your dishwasher that you normally wash plates. So you avoid dosing the chemicals manually because it's not consistent. But if you have the dosing pump there, you have your chemical drums locked in a case.
What is the technological aspect of it?
We set it up in a way that we link the dosing pump with your dishwasher. And then we link it also with the chemicals. so that when
through what?
Sorry,
how do you link them
with the drums? Technology. It's a gadget that is installed just on the wall. Yes, there will be pipes drawing the chemicals from the drums, and then also there will be pumps going into the dishwasher. Now, after programming, the machine knows that the dishwasher is at the stage of maybe main wash, of cleaning the dishes. It knows how much detergents to pull out and put it in the into the dishwasher. And then when it goes to rinsing mode, it knows when to pull the rinser and put it in the washing machine. So this is consistent. It doesn't change because it's preset. It won't change whether the employee who's operating the machine at that point is tired, they've been standing all day,
drunk.
or or they're going through some emotions. It will always be consistent. That means now you can control your chemical costs. And then again, the nice thing is we can also pull information from that gadget to say, okay, how much chemical or how many cycles have you done this month in terms of washing plates? Then you know, okay, during our peak period, we spend so much chemical. During our low period, we spend so much chemical. Therefore, you are able to focus in terms of expenditure and knowing that now in terms of my chemical expenses, they will not change. Because it's consistent. And one important thing that I need to emphasize is we don't sell these pumps. For us, it's a value add to our customer to say, you as our customer, we are helping you control costs because we don't want our products to be a major cost to your business.
When you say you're not selling them, what do you mean?
We provide them as value add.
I don't think you're giving them out for free.
Yes. We are providing them as value adds. You, as Mr. Mogobe, you're saying, okay, Black will be procuring chemicals from your business. Then we will say, okay, because we are supplying you with chemicals, then we are giving you this pump so that
after signing a contract.
Yes, after signing a contract of minimum of 2 years, to say now you use this pump, we service it for you. We come for regular checks to see if it needs servicing and if it's pumping correctly. Then we do that. Your role is just to procure chemicals, nothing else. If there is anything wrong with the pump, we are just a call away. Our technician will come and attend to it.
And are you able to monitor whether it's properly utilized from the offices?
Yes, there is that technology, which is new. We haven't had a client using that technology as yet because it's quite new. Where now we can remotely look at all the pumps that we have and see the usage and if they need servicing. Currently, we have to regularly come on site and see because we have timelines in terms of when the pump needs servicing. Normally, the major thing that you change on the pump are squeeze pumps that draws the chemical from the drums. So those needs to be checked on a regular basis. Say every after 2 months, you come and replace.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you about Zaga. Is there really, really, really Zaga? How can you convince me that there's Zaga in this business? And why should a youngster who's aspiring to start their own business consider this as a source of Zaga?
Okay, in terms of source of Zaga, I would say I'll be a bit conservative, and the reason being there can be money if you price correctly. Maybe you can say cleaning is just a low barrier entry industry where I can just pick up my mop and go, and then price very low, and then you end up doing work for free. So it's very important that you get your pricing right. If you get your pricing right, Zaga will be there. Why am I saying this? Because cleaning services as an industry, it will never go away. It will always be there. We always need cleaning, whether at home, whether in offices. We can't work in dirty offices, so we always need cleaning services. Okay, things may change as we go into AI, artificial intelligence, where at some point now we won't need a lot of human resources. Maybe instead of needing 10, we will need 5 to operate those particular equipment, but still, we'll still need cleaning. So the most important thing is just make sure that you get your pricing right.
What's the role of passion and commitment in all of this?
It's key. It's very important, because cleaning can be very challenging. Like I'm saying, the biggest challenge is the use of chemicals and also the resource management. Which can, you clean an office today, if you don't monitor it, maybe when they're tired now they start just going through and not doing the work properly, then you get your client. The worst thing would be, okay, it's important to note that customers are all the same, but remember how scary it is when 7 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning the CEO walks in his office and find the office dead. They call you directly to say what is happening. So it's really important that you monitor and manage your staff properly, and they should know expectations, and obviously in terms of upskilling them and making sure that they do the job right.
All right. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. What is the forecast if you were to grab your crystal ball, as it were, and look into the future for both yourself personally and for the brand?
Yes, for myself personally, obviously, we it's to constantly. I read a lot. I constantly empower myself in terms of reading and take every challenge as it comes. But what is important is, and what I've learned over time is, make sure that the challenges that you encounter, you embrace them as learning curves. Don't beat yourself too hard and say, maybe I didn't take the right decision there, now I'm a failure. Just understand that this is a process. Life is a journey.
So what have you planned specifically for the next 10, 15 years?
So plans is obviously to diversify the business. Remember, Braintec came from only cleaning. It went into retail of cleaning hygiene products. Now the plan is also to roll it to now try and control the value chain, to say put in a little bit of logistics, to say, okay, as our clients, we can actually clean for you, supply you with cleaning products and transport them, and also any other goods that your business needs, because majority of the restaurants or the hospitality sector, they get their staff internationally, to say, no, we can actually, as a business, we can just get products for you, transport them to you, take care of you as our client, and make sure we are a one-stop shop. You don't need to deal with any other third party but us.
In terms of branching out of gaps, or even regionally, or even continentally, or even internationally?
We are listening. We have our ear on the ground. These are rectifications. We are ready to take advantage of those opportunities that are opening up internationally. Those are the markets that we need to be going in. We have always been looking internationally. As I'm saying, we have strategic partnerships. The chemicals, highly specialized chemicals that we are selling currently, we are in a strategic partnership with a South African-based firm, which is also our technical partners in terms of chemicals. There are those that we produce in-house and those that we get outside. This is a very experienced company that always guides us in terms of how we approach this industry, because they've serviced the markets for over 30 years. We have only close to 7 years in operation. So our growth is more on collaborations with international companies, so that it's easier to enter those international markets.
Lastly, let me ask you about perseverance. grit, persistence, which is the key component of success, in my view, on entrepreneurship. Have you ever suffered a major setback, a significant one? And if so, how did you demonstrate your grit and how did you survive?
Yes. Yes, we continue facing those setbacks. And then the major setback would be maybe encountering a contractual breach, especially where your client or the other party is your major customer. Now you are facing a wall and a hard rock, I would say, where now you are trying to manage the relationship.
Are you talking specifics? Without mentioning names, you can talk specifics?
Not at this stage.
Okay, but
because the challenge is still ongoing.
Okay.
It's a lot of back and forth. But you need to make sure that at the end of the day, you really want to manage the relationship in such a way that you don't step on anyone's toes. Probably you end up maybe the contract being pulled. But it's also important that you also have a backbone to say, but no, you can't do this as a client in a much calmed manner, and make sure that you reach an agreement. This is something that obviously is very stressful in business, and you need to have that.
They are alleging that you breached an agreement, but you didn't.
No, I am alleging they are breaching. I'm alleging that they are breaching. On their end is the contract management is in such a manner that they believe it's a relationship of a master and servant, where you can't say no, I'm breaching. I'm breaching. So it's an issue of, no, I'm telling you to do this, so do it.
So you're working through that.
So we are working through that.
But there are a few sleepless nights involved.
Obviously.
So your plan is to just go ahead and fight through it.
Fight through it and also manage the relationship.
Yeah.
And then so that emotion remain calm. But with entrepreneurship, really, I would just say, to advise people, young ones, to say it's not an easy journey. I'm telling you, when I was in corporate, obviously I thought I'll have, you have flexible hours in terms of working longer hours, not meaning you have flexible hours in terms of sleeping the whole day. No, it means you can work until 2 a.m. in the morning and wake up as early as possible, but it can get lonely at some point where you feel, did I make the right decision? Especially when you've been in corporate, when you got your nice salary for 10 years, but now you are faced with this and say, if you sleep, you are not going to get a salary at the end of the month. So that can be really exhausting. And when you go into business, you must be able to recognize those elements, those frustrating nights, and make sure that you hang in there. Because ultimately also patience is really important. To make sure when you hit the pitfalls, just be patient. Just know that you won't be there forever.
Time for you to hit me with a question, sir, if you have one.
Obviously I've been following your podcast for a while. I think the one that really struck me the first time was on tenderpreneurship. It was some time back. That's when I started now following the page, and I subscribing to say, but this is quite valuable content. Then I started seeing a lot of experts coming in, property developers. The other one that I really watched was, which I thought was informative, was Mr. Mulifinyan, I think, from Matchmakers. Talking about multi-residentials, because
we interviewed him again. He's coming back.
So that interview also, I think I learned a lot, in the sense that we always thought multi-res, when you build a multi-res, it's a sure thing that you are making money. But after that interview, I realized that there are so many things that
you have
really
a question
look
somewhere
into.
there, sir.
Yes. So in terms of what drove you to...
I've answered that question multiple times, actually. But the main thing is to try and live my purpose. And I do say it in the tagline, which is to enthuse, to energize, to inspire, and to empower. Once I identified that as my key objectives, what was the best way to do that? At the same time, lifting the ecosystem and raising awareness about entrepreneurship. So technology offered the opportunity through this podcast, like you already explained, especially coming against the backdrop of what I was doing with Meet the Overcomers at Duma FM. We did that for 14 years. So the time was ripe for us to now take advantage of the latest technology and to still carry on, interview experts like yourself, people in the cutting edge of business, to share that experiential knowledge with the people so that we can have more entrepreneurs come up. And I'd like to think that the objective has been met, judging by the number of entrepreneurs who've said they've been encouraged by the show. So that is really the purpose. And also a selfish reason, which is that I want to learn. If I'm sitting with you here and I'm asking questions, it's also for myself. And I'm improving my awareness and my knowledge base as an entrepreneur. So those are the reasons.
Okay. And then in terms of the economic outlook, there is a lot of talk around a recession coming, especially in international markets. What is your view on that?
I've taken a very robust view about such things. There's the talking heads on television and the talking heads on social media. I've just decided I don't want to participate in your recession. I don't want to participate in your depression. I'm going to take it one day at a time and focus on my work and stick to my lane. So I generally don't listen too much to experts and procrastinators. And I don't waste much energy, because they'll tell you that you should be depressed, in gloom and doom, and then they should tell you tomorrow you should be excited, there's something wonderful happening. So a short answer is that I refuse to participate in the recession, whether it's current or it's coming.
Okay.
I just want to carry on with what I can do, empower at one person at a time, make a difference where I can. Yeah. No more questions, sir. You've done your part. Now, look at that camera and just leave the viewer with something uplifting as we wrap up.
Well, let me encourage you as entrepreneurs to say the journey of entrepreneurship is quite exciting and also very painful. You must be alive to those challenges to say you are not going to make money tomorrow. Where we are not making money that we wish to be making. It takes time. It takes perseverance. Don't look at social media that is glamorizing entrepreneurship and think the next day you'll be driving a Mercedes or a Range Rover. We still don't drive those after 7 years. So just persevere, have a goal, focus on it, and be patient with it. You will achieve where you
took more than 3 decades before I drove such fancy things.
Yes.
Not because I couldn't afford it, because I had other priorities.
Yeah. So basically,
I echo that.
Yes. So basically, just be patient with yourself and don't beat yourself too hard, because you are the one, when you are in the entrepreneurship space, you are the one who will be clapping for you, no one else. So motivate yourself much more than anybody can.
All right. Can you share all your contact details, social media, and elsewhere?
Right. Our company, Braintec, on Facebook is Braintec Cleaning Services. On Instagram is Braintec Cleaning. And we are also on TikTok. Our contacts at our office, if you need our services, our quality products, call us on 390-2809 or just WhatsApp us on 75-249-240. We are available online and offline. We have a website also. If you need a quotation or inquire about anything, just go on our website, ask questions, or just send us a WhatsApp. We are just a call away.
Thank you so much. You've done a
Thank
good
you.
job. All right.